Today on Locked On Rockies, a series split.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into your Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 18th day of April. I'm Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire, bringing you all sorts of Rockies coverage 5 days a week here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. Proud to be your first listen of the day. Hey, if you like the show, rate it. Subscribe to it on YouTube, folks. That YouTube subscription is a massive, massive help. If you love the pod and you want to support what we do, go out there, follow us on the social medias, LO Rockies on Twitter. Rate us on your favorite streaming service and hit that subscribe button and hop into the live chat like I know we're going to have some people do today because every episode is recorded live on YouTube, as you can see when you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Want to thank you for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day. We're proud to be part of the Locked On Podcast Network, and today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Today on Locked On Rockies, we're recapping the series with the Cubs, and I have two players that we need to highlight and talk about, especially because there are two players that I think are instrumental in the success of this team this year, and they need to step it up a little bit more in terms of their performance. It's April. We're less than 2 weeks into this, full weeks into the season. I still believe in both of these players, but we're going to talk Austin Gomber and we're going to talk Brendan Rodgers today. Well, of course, we'll recap the series. We'll look ahead to the Phillies as well. We'll talk a little bit about the matchup tonight, but I mostly want to start with my two players that I am most worried about in terms of the Rockies. The fifth spot in the rotation, and that is a concern, sure. But Austin Gomber has to be better, and Austin Gomber has to be better at home. I know it's 2 starts. I know the shortened spring. I get all that. Here I am. I am acknowledging that, and I understand. Austin Gomber has to be better. Austin Gomber has to be good. Austin Gomber cannot pitch like that. He cannot pitch like that yesterday. He cannot allow easy traffic. He cannot go out there and allow that as well. And it's not just Gomber. The rest of the starting rotation needs to step up to where they're at. Now, hopefully this is the effects of the shortened spring and the weather and those early season things that we all know. But it is worrisome when we talk about the strength of the Rockies being something that we worry about. And after 2 starts, both Kyle Freeland and Austin Gomber are both in situations where they need to start ramping it up. Gomber is fresh on my mind because of pitching yesterday. And I believe in this rotation. I believe in these arms. I believe you made the Nolan Arenado trade for Austin Gomber for a reason. And I know we can't just hold that standard there, but we have to still remind ourselves that that is the quality of player that we need. We need someone like Austin Gomber to step up and take over that role in the rotation. We need Austin Gomber to be confident in himself and his stuff to bring that presence to the rotation. I know the waters have sailed. I know the ship has sailed. I know it's there, but I'm just saying if you're Austin Gomber, it's time. It's time to show us. It's time to get into the mentality and work back to where you need to go, to where you were so dominant at Coors Field before you got hurt. What made you dominant at points last year. And if Gomber does that, it's massive for the Rockies. It's incredibly huge for the Rockies if they can get Gomber to pitch as well as he did at home last year and translate that to the road. We have to remind ourselves of how Austin Gomber got here, because I don't want us to forget to let Austin Gomber's it's not a reflection of him as a person. I just want to remember, as the front office and the plan for this player, that was the move they made to get Austin Gomber, and I just don't always get excited by multiple walks, starting a game down 4 runs already by the 4th inning. However, I think it's more and more prevalent. It's more of an example. We're seeing it for sure. The shortened spring training has impacted, especially starting pitchers. I have these expectations for Gomber. I want Gomber to get there. I'm not out on Austin Gomber, but I just want to know. I just want him to, I don't know, him to know. He's probably not listening. I just want, as a fan, to remind myself that Austin Gomber has this high ceiling because we've seen it. And I want that consistency there. And the same goes for Kyle Freeland. Those two pitchers really need to step it up. Senza as well. Senza hasn't been as sharp. Senza not getting his first strikeout until deep into the game in his second start. That's an issue too. But Senza's also limited the damage. Senza's also pitched to his strengths. Senza's also used his defense. Austin Gomber, however, yesterday, too many free bases. 4 walks to 2 strikeouts, 4 earned runs, and 4 innings pitched. 8 hits against the Cubs. And that's on top of 2 walks. Austin Gomber in 8 1/3 innings has 6 walks. That's just can't fly, folks. It can't fly. And the Rockies have to limit those free bases. The Cubs took advantage of it, and the Cubs were able to really barrel up a lot of Rockies starting pitching this weekend. The Cubs hit this weekend. They might not have scored as much. There might have been some sloppiness there from it was kind of definitely some April baseball, a lot of it, but the Cubs came in and did swing it against the Rockies starters. Rockies were able to win, split the series. The Rockies were able to come back, score some runs, sure, but we can't sit here and say that the Cubs weren't driving the ball, weren't figuring out starting pitching, weren't getting on base. And if a team like the Dodgers rolls into town and starts doing that, it's going to get ugly. The Giants, when they roll into town, it's going to get ugly. But it's still early. There's still flashes of the stuff. We've still seen Gomber and Freeland have good stuff at this time. It's the second start of the season. The Rockies were able to bounce back. The rally comes up just short, but the offense is able to start clicking. And it wasn't all just the runs that Gomber gave up that led to the Rockies losing yesterday, as the bullpen gave up some runs and things of that nature. But the bullpen being good to start the year, great, the best in baseball to start the year, is something that we need to keep building on, and the starters need to do what they can do, which is win ball games. And again, I think it's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see, but we're not going to sit here and ignore some warning signs that we saw, or we can't sit here and say that there isn't some worrisome stuff from Gomber, from Freeland, and from the starting rotation in general for the season. However, Devin nails it in the live chat. The team has fought back. The team clearly has an energy where they believe that they are still in ball games. You still feel like the Rockies are able to get back into things, especially with the way they're able to chip away. But don't get in those situations. I mean, avoid giving up 4 runs in 4 innings and free bases, because that's what they're doing, and that's what the Rockies are counting on. The Rockies need to be able to rely on the first 4 in the rotation, and they need to get enough from the 5th. But when you're Austin Gomber and when you're Kyle Freeland, you need to be ready. You need to be able to step up. And in these third starts, in this next time through, I really want to see both of those players take improvements for their starts. Really, really hoping for that. Another player we need to talk about too, who is ice cold, but I'm still believing in, brakes need to be pumped, is Brendan Rodgers. But before we talk about Brendan Rodgers, got to tell you about our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. One of the best parts about baseball season, well, there's always something to bet on because there's so many games, and you can get in on all the action at betonline.net. Or hey, maybe you're doing the multi-screen experience and you want to capitalize on the excitement of a good Rockies start and the Nuggets being in the playoffs. Well, why not go see all the action at betonline.net, and you can find the latest sports development, league reviews, and news, including the basketball playoffs and Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. That's BetOnline. Devin says, I'm more confident Freeland will be fine than Gomber, to be honest. And I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily know how to come to that conclusion. I think Freeland has been, his whole career has been marked by inconsistencies. And I would like to see that ship get turned around. And it's got to be a good feeling as the starters, seeing at least the team able to bounce back, get back into these situations and get back into games. Speaking of bouncing back, Brendan Rodgers, folks. Oh my goodness, it's bad. It's very bad. I mean, it's still early. There's so much baseball to be played, and I do believe that Brendan Rodgers will get better. I simply think he has to get better. He's far too important to this Rockies. He's playing good defense, which is good. Getting a little unlucky, but he is just something about the swing, something about the timing, something about the approach of the dish right now just isn't connecting. However, if it's a bad April that leads into a fine May, that then leads to a good June and a good July and a good August and a good September, I'll take the slump now. Brendan Rodgers is a great baseball player. I think he is still waiting to break out. Maybe in a situation, maybe I'm a little too high on Brendan Rodgers. I thought I've been kind of talking Rodgers all off season, and I've been talking about him through spring training. I think he's a key piece to this Rockies team. It's so major that the Rockies can when you look at the lineup and the way that people have produced, that the people that are producing on offense are the ones you didn't expect to, and the ones that aren't producing are the ones that you were hoping or expecting to do so. If the Rockies can balance that out, if the Rockies can start getting their guys going, Rymack hitting that home run was major. I think Rymack's had some good approaches, but Rymack putting that ball out of the yard, going to be a nice boost there for his ability to help drive in runs. And I think Brendan Rodgers just needs that one game. He needs that one solid hit. That he hasn't really hit the ball well. I mean, I know he has a couple of hits, but at least in that series, he has really not squared anything up and really having issues with the strikeouts. Let's head over to Purple Row here. Skylar Timmons writes, striking out in Brendan Rodgers' neighborhoods. This is from yesterday's, before the game yesterday. So keep that in mind. But just so you know, yesterday, Brendan Rodgers, it went 0 for 4 yesterday with a couple of strikeouts, I believe. Let me see here. One strikeout yesterday in the game against the Cubs. 0 for 4. He did get on base there with the Rockies and did get a hit on the Saturday game. However, this strikeout rate is awful. En route to their strong start in 2022, the Rockies have done a good job making contact and stringing together quality at-bats. There's still plenty of room for improvement, but it's promising up and down the lineup. However, although the majority of the lineup is enjoying success, one player is having an unexpectedly rough start is Brendan Rodgers. The Rockies' second baseman is expected to be a key contributor in the heart of this lineup after a strong 2021 campaign in which he batted .284, .328, and .470. That's his line, with 15 home runs. Rodgers is struggling mightily at the plate, but what is giving him the most trouble? Well, Skylar Timmons says the answer is strikeouts. Through 7 games this season, B-Rod has become K-Rod in a worrying display of plate discipline. In 31 plate appearances, Rodgers is 3 for 27 with 11 strikeouts and just 3 walks, while his disappointing slash line of 111, 194, 111 isn't any reason to push the panic button quite yet in these opening weeks. His strikeout rate of 36.7% is something to be concerned about. The overabundance of punchouts is a clear indication that Rodgers does not have a quality approach at the plate right now. Rodgers is swinging over 50% of the time. That's good, Timmons writes. He's swinging at 38% of pitches outside the zone. That's bad. He's making contact 65% of the time on swings overall. That's good, yet 17% of his swings are swinging strikes and 11% are called strikes, which is bad. Rodgers has had plenty of success making contact on pitches outside of the zone in the past, averaging about 60% in each of the last 3 seasons, but he's at 53% in 2022 as of Sunday. He's seeing the same percentage of pitches inside the zone, but his contact rate across the board are down, and it's showing that the league is making an adjustment to him so far, that is making it difficult for him to get the bat to the ball and drive it for base hits. Baseball Reference shows that Rodgers is seeing roughly 4.44 pitches per plate appearance. That fits his norm, but of his 11 strikeouts, 12 now, if you count Saturday, 9 of them have been swinging strikeouts. Despite seeing the same number of pitches, he is swinging more and coming up empty more often. That is scary, folks. I mean, that... And you hope that it's going to change. You hope that the hitting coaches, you hope that Bud Black, you hope that everyone's getting in there and working with Brendan Rodgers to get this approach, to get that discipline, watching film. But it's a tough one. I mean, the confidence isn't up there either on the eye test as well. He isn't going up there feeling like he's going to get a hit yet. I would be, that average of 4.44 pitches. Maybe I don't know if this is necessarily the easiest. Here it is, bam, quick answer for you. Take a couple more pitches. Just go up there with the mindset, with the process, with the idea that you're going to go up and take another pitch. Get average 5 pitches at bat if you can. Really work on your discipline and your timing. Doesn't help when umps are kind of a little inconsistent with their zones. I mean, with that third strike call to Charlie Blackmon yesterday. Woo. But the Rockies have been benefits from some bad umpire calls as well. I honestly think the secret for Brendan Rodgers' success is just going to be continued reps. I think you have to continue to turn to him. He was your top pick. You brought him up. You gave him the confidence. And when you let Brendan Rodgers play last year, he started to go. He started to come up. Devin, sending Brendan Rodgers down anymore is just not a thing. No more development time. Brendan Rodgers' time is now. He has to be a contributor at the major league level. They were already funky enough with service time and bringing him up and getting him at bats and all of this stuff. No chance. He needs to be the everyday starting baseman for the Rockies because the communication needs to be able to continue to develop in that middle infield, and the right players need to be there. The way that Brendan Rodgers is going to get out of this is he's going to have to grind it out. And unfortunately, it's going to be frustrating for us fans, but we have to be able to turn to, as the Rockies and Rockies fans, turn to Brendan Rodgers and look to him to contribute for this team on offense and defense. Yes, Alan Trejo had a great 2 games, but I want Brendan Rodgers in the lineup every single day still. I want him to break this cold streak, and I want him to get at bats. I want him to figure out what pitchers are doing that's throwing him off guard. I want him to go up to the dish one day feeling pissed off and break out of that slump. Or I want him to poke the ball through the field on an actual base hit that finds a seeing high single that actually gets him the confidence to know that he can put the ball in play. We have to have confidence in Brendan Rodgers. The panic button hasn't been hit yet. Putting him down in AAA isn't going to do anything that's going to help. That isn't going to help him here. He needs to be against major league pitching. That ship has sailed. Trejo might have looked better, sure, but the Rockies need Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers is important to the Rockies' success. Just like I said, Austin Gomber is. Players like Kyle Freeland, Brendan Rodgers, Austin Gomber, they are the ones that need to be ready to step up and contribute to this team as this season goes on. The new faces have come in and made impacts. The people you signed to extensions are making impacts. It's time for these other Rockies players to make the impacts that I know that they can make, and they know that they can make. It's professional baseball. It's way harder to do that. My job's easy. I get to sit here and say that that's what they should do. It'll take time, but we need to continue to turn to them. We need to be able, and this is a benefit. This is a good sign of the Rockies here, is the Rockies, these players have struggled, but they've been able to turn to the rest of their team, and they've been able to get production from almost everybody. Alan Trejo's a great example. He comes into the lineup and has a massive impact. Jose Iglesias hasn't been perfect, hasn't been great, but has had a couple of impactful games and a couple of at-bats that he's done something. Chris Bryant is making an impact in every single game that he's played. Gerchek is huge, has been huge so far in a lot of ways. these Rockies vets, these Rockies guys, these people that we were excited about in the offseason, Freeland, Gomber, Rodgers, it's time for them to step it up. It's time for them to be the players that we know that they can be. It's time to get consistency into the game. And maybe all it's going to take is time. Maybe it's all it's going to take is more patience. It is still April. The season isn't even a month old. They haven't even done 3 starts. Brendan Rodgers hasn't even reached, hasn't even played in a full 10 games. All of that is stuff to keep in mind, yes. But on the flip side, we can't neglect the fact that Gomber, Freeland, and Rodgers are instrumental for continued Rockies success. And I think they'll get there. I think they will get there. I think there's plenty of time left in the season. The panic button's not there, but when we're reflecting, when we're breaking down the opportunities that the Rockies had with these players against the Cubs this season, especially with Rodgers and the hitting and Gomber getting the runners on. Did Kyle Freeland pitch against the Cubs? Let me see. He did pitch against the Cubs. 9 hits, 5 runs, 5 innings pitched. It's just the Rockies need more from those 3 players, and they can get more. How? I don't know. I think it will. I think part of it is time. It's reps. It's continued. But if at the end of April we're having this same conversation about these 3 players, that's when we hit the panic button. That's when we get worried. That's when we need to start looking at things more critically and start evaluating where the Rockies are at, if we are still having this conversation at the end of the year. If it's only with one of them, that's a different story too. There's just a couple of multiple pieces of the Rockies with some slow starts that we weren't hoping for, that we weren't counting on. But hey, the Rockies didn't lose the series against the Cubs. The Rockies win or split the series. They win a couple of good games. They score in every single game. They come back in that one and have a chance to win it late and have a chance to be in that game. But at the end of the day, they had a lot of opportunities to win that series, and I don't know if you can necessarily say sweep after that first game, but they had a lot of opportunities to win that series. That's for sure. And let's hope that instead of splitting the series, they take down the Phillies, and let's talk about that. But before we do that, hey, why don't you go check out the Locked On Now podcast? You can stay update with everything going on in the world of sports, MLB games, analysis, taking fans through the season like no other network. It's free and available wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And you also got to check out Built Bar. Built Bar has so many delicious flavor options for you if you are looking for that new snacking habit, that tasty treat that isn't a candy bar. Well, you can grab yourself a Built Bar and you're going to be in great shape, because Built Bars are not only delicious, but they got some wonderful, wonderful benefits for you, including the low calorie, high protein. Yep, protein, big time. Little snack right after that workout, after that bike ride. The weather is good. Why not, if you're going for that multi-mile pedal out there, why not pack a Built Bar? So you got a little protein boost, a little snack, and you can be treated to usually 130 calories, I should say. Only 4 grams of sugar. It sounds like I was talking about a candy bar there with the 130 grams of sugar, but only 4 grams of sugar in a Built Bar, only 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Great for that hike. Great for what you're trying to do with that warm weather. Colorado, what better place to be in the summertime and springtime when the weather is good? Get outside and have a great tasty treat while you do. And when you go to built.com, you can use the promo code LOCKED15 and you'll get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. That's 15% off your order at built.com when you use the promo code LOCKED15 at built.com today. So the Rockies split the series with the Cubs, and now the Phillies roll into town. The 4-6 Phillies with a lot of firepower in that outfield. That's kind of what I am worried about here in terms of the Rockies. They are going up against Aaron Nola tonight. 1-1, 6.75 ERA with 12 Ks on the year for Nola. But, this is what the Rockies are going to be looking at. Nick Castellanos, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber. Those three names are looking to do some damage. JT Realmuto's in there as well. He can go ahead and swing it. He's already got a home run, a couple RBIs on the season with a slash line of 294, 351, 763. The Rockies got to rely on their pitching, and their offense needs to continue to swing the bat well, looking to get more from some of these other players as well. And hopefully the Rockies are going to start this series off with a win. First pitch it appears to be 6:40 tonight for first pitch. But again, my big thing to watch for this series as we're getting things started, it is that outfield. It is that power hitting outfield. It's Bryce Harper, it's Castellanos, it's Schwarber. How are you going to be able to navigate and handle those batters? Are you going to be able to silence those bats, and are you going to be able to get your offense to back you up a little bit, especially when you're starting with the 5-man in the rotation, Cole tonight, who is currently, here we go. Chad Cole tonight, 0-0 win-loss record, 2.08 ERA, and 5 strikeouts on the year for him as well. Let's see. Do we have the starting lineups for today out yet? Let's do a quick scroll. It's still a little early, so we might not have them. But one piece of information that people might not have seen yesterday was the fact that Colton Welker has joined the team. Colton Welker has joined the team after Garrett Hampson heads to the IL with, I believe, a hand bruise. The hand contusion is what we have. He went to the IL yesterday. Lucas Gilbreth and Robert Stevenson were in Albuquerque yesterday, and they are doing rehab assignments, so they should be joining the team soon. I wonder what they're going to do with that. Lawrence has looked good so far. Still some issues with the control, but I'm really, really happy with the way we've seen what we've seen from Lawrence. But yeah, the Rockies do also have some pieces of their bullpen they haven't seen yet this year in Gilbreth and Stevenson. But again, rehab assignments there. Garrett Hampson on the IL with a hand contusion, and Welker, who batted that eye infection all in the spring, is up here. Hopefully he can get some at-bats in a game. It'd be nice for him to see at least a little bit of action if he's up here on the major league level. Maybe get him a start or something like that. But should be another good series here. Phillies haven't been off to a dominant start, but they do have the firepower to hit the ball hard and hit the ball far. So the Rockies need to be able to rely on their pitching and hope for more strength from that bullpen, who has been so good so far this year. We'll talk about it all here on Locked On Rockies, because that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. We will be back in action tomorrow with more great Rockies podcast fun. You can follow us at LO Rockies on Twitter. I'm at Paul Holden 33, and you can follow and subscribe on YouTube. Folks, that YouTube subscription is a massive, massive help to me here at the pod. So if you want to support, go and hit that subscribe button. It is a massive, massive help for me. Hey, now that you've listened to Locked On Rockies, go make Locked On MLB with Walking Baseball Encyclopedia Sully your second listen of the day. And stay up to date with all things Colorado sports by listening to the Locked On Nuggets, Avalanche, and Broncos podcast. Locked On Nuggets, keeping you informed about the Nuggets playoff run. Broncos, keeping you up to date on all things Russell Wilson in the offseason Denver Broncos. And of course, Locked On Avs hasn't even gotten started for what should be a special playoff run. Again, I'm Paul Holden. You can find me at Paul Holden 33. And hey, folks, until next time, thank you so much for listening to the Locked On Rockies podcast. And this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.